All right, welcome to my show. What is going on with Bitcoin's ETFs? Everyone is saying it was a major belly flop, so much negative sentiment and fear in the market. Everyone thought this was going to be this tremendous pump, charts were going to pump, altcoins were going to pump, and people are just disappointed overall. Next, what is up with Ethereum's ETF? As we spoke about in my previous videos, which if you haven't seen will be linked below. And in everyone's videos, really, everyone who's covering crypto has brought this up. And if you go to crypto Twitter, which is where the conversation really lives, you will see that everyone's talking about it, right? And I discussed Solana and Solana's pump in my previous video, but I thought I would cover Ethereum's ETF as well in this video just one more time, just because now we have details. So let's get started. If this sounds good to you, please like, subscribe, and like the notification bell because I'll be dropping content every day and this is for you. This is to bring you up to speed, to make sure you don't miss out on this bull run that is just getting started. So it's a very good time. All right, so for starters, I wanted to show you this super hilarious video. This is what the Bitcoin ETF launch was like. Poor thing. Before it even gets started, it was a belly flop. It's funny. Okay, it's ridiculous. Let's pause. Absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, that's how most people felt about the Bitcoin ETF, right? ETF's approval. But much of the lack of pumpamentalness or volatility has really been due to the fact that most of the purchases that have happened in what is called OTC, which I covered in a previous video as well, which I'd encourage you to go check out. But basically that means that, these massive holders are just doing deals offline, right? Over the counter. And they're doing this to protect the price, right? Because if someone comes in, a whale, as we call them in crypto, comes in and just buys Bitcoin off of the market, off of an exchange, then that's gonna tank the price, right? And so in some ways it's wise the way they did it, but for everyone else, like us, that we're waiting for it to pump, to either sell a little bit or trade or whatever, this was a little disappointing. So that's just one note, is we haven't seen any real action because of the way Bitcoin ETFs have been purchased so far. So that's just important to know. Secondly, what caused a lot of drama in the space, and if you were to go on crypto Twitter, and like I was saying, many of these influencers, I know, and our friends or friends of my partner, who's a pretty big influencer and builder in the space, Kyle Chasse, which I'll also link below, have been throwing a bit of a fit online, just because I don't know if they personally were holding money in Vanguard or what the case was, but basically this is the drama. So let me just switch over to this article one moment. So this is what happened. So Vanguard, one of the biggest ETF holders, basically refused to sell, as you can see here, refused to sell Bitcoin ETFs, which caused a major uproar because, like, why not? Vanguard is basically just a platform. I'm not going to compare it to like an Amazon or an eBay, but basically, where these tokens can get listed, different securities, and people should be able to go buy them, but they refused. So this caused major uproar. So many people that we know moved their money off of Vanguard, and it caused a major uproar because, as we see here, Vanguard actually owns a large percentage of BlackRock and MicroStrategy. Now, for many of you, I don't know what you know, but BlackRock is this mega conglomerate that I'm not going to, absolutely cannot be quoted on this, but it's been said that, BlackRock is, if you combine all the wealth pretty much of all the countries of the world, something like that, BlackRock is richer than all of them. It owns tons of real estate, just owns everything. BlackRock is probably the wealthiest entity, probably one of the wealthiest entities on the planet. So it's crazy to think that Vanguard owns a large percentage of BlackRock and holds a large percentage of MicroStrategy, which is strictly a Bitcoin investment company. And that's a whole other conversation, but many people love MicroStrategy because he basically, and you know, the CEO and founder is Michael Saylor. He's a pretty big thought leader in the space. I would encourage you to go follow him on Twitter as well. But he basically buys Bitcoin and then borrows against it to buy more Bitcoin. And you can go and buy, you know, Bitcoin off of him. And it's this whole complicated method, which frankly, I should go start doing myself. So that can be a separate video on learning how to do this. But anyway, so this is what caused the uproar, right? And it was just really seen as a contradiction, because how is Vanguard going to not allow its investors to buy Bitcoin off of its platform, but then and say that, you know, that's not the type of business it's in. You know, it doesn't sell gold ETFs or Bitcoin. It sells other forms of stable assets. So it's just kind of crazy because he's calling it a stable asset while, anyway, I'll show you a video in a second, but this caused quite the uproar. So here, this is the video I'm talking about.
Power of ETFs. And there's been a lot of discussion over the past few weeks about potentially a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency ETFs. Are you exploring it? Do you plan to open one? Are you going to apply to open one? And what do you think of a Bitcoin ETF as an investment tool for your customers?
Tyler, we won't be pursuing a Bitcoin ETF. Just like we don't use gold as an asset class for our clients. It's not that people can't invest in there. We just look at asset classes for, you know, what belongs in a long-term portfolio, what has intrinsic value, has cash flows to it. And those are the asset classes we steer people towards. And so we don't go towards Bitcoin or gold or any other of those stable assets.
How wild is that? You know, it's just wild. But I don't think anyone should really despair because, as we'll see in this following tweet and video, what's amazing, and this happened yesterday, I believe, is exactly what the rumors or the conversations, you know, for all like the crypto, I'm not going to call them, you know, like just everyone who's really hardcore crypto or Bitcoin maximalists. Bitcoin maximalists are basically people that, you know, they're all in on Bitcoin only. Like they don't dabble with any other cryptos. Like they're hardcore, diehard believers in the power of Bitcoin. They hold Bitcoin, like they're everything Bitcoin, right? But what's amazing is that up until now, and I saw this somewhere else on Twitter, someone was saying that up until now, what's so powerful about what just happened with the Bitcoin ETFs finally being, you know, legally approved to be listed and traded as securities on major platforms and exchanges is that what's really happened is that before it was just player versus player, which I imagine is gamer terminology. I'm not a gamer myself, but that's what it sounds like, right? PvP, where it's basically been this echo chamber of just diehard crypto people and investors buying and selling against each other, right? So it's been hilarious. It's been like us inflicting, you know, market ups and downs on each other. And what just happened is that now it's player versus everyone. So the individual like us, now we are trading against everyone because Bitcoin has been opened up to the public. So what's amazing about this advertisement is that it's really a demonstration of what's actually happening, which is Bitcoin is now in institutional advertisements. Like, check this out. Like, what does this say?
Adoption has significantly accelerated over the past decade, with profound implications for the future of finance. Bitcoin is the original cryptocurrency to gain global adoption and has continued to maintain its dominance despite thousands of others.
This is from BlackRock.
You might have noticed Bitcoin make its way into our everyday lives, from Bitcoin ATMs to various merchants accepting Bitcoin as payment, further driving interest in what the future holds for the cryptocurrency. Investors have taken notice, as institutions and individual investors alike have been adopting Bitcoin into their investment portfolios, with some viewing it as a potential store of value, and others as
Can you imagine the commercials to come?
How money moves around the world. But for many investors, holding Bitcoin directly can be complex. That's why we launched IBIT, the iShares Bitcoin Trust, an ETF that provides investors convenient exposure to Bitcoin. Here are 3 things to know about IBIT. Access. IBIT enables investors to access Bitcoin within a traditional brokerage account, just like stocks, bonds, and other ETFs. Convenience. IBIT can help remove operational burdens associated with trading and holding Bitcoin directly, as well as potentially high trading costs and tax reporting complexities. Quality. iBit is built by BlackRock, a leading ETF firm with expertise across ETFs and a history of innovation. It is a new day for Bitcoin. Access iBit through your online brokerage or discuss with them to find out how iBit can fit into your portfolio. iShares.com to view a prospectus, which includes investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and other information.
Okay, that's enough. That's wild. So once again, it's just an indicator of what's to come, you know? It's crazy. Okay, so this is the 7-day chart, right? This is what has everybody, I'm not going to call them normies, okay, because that's a little condescending, but everyone that's new and doesn't know very much. And honestly, I don't think it really has very much to do with that. Maybe it does. But anyway, here's the thing, right? So Bitcoin's ETFs get approved right around here. That's where you see the spike, right? And then you see all of this happen, downward motion, and then it's kind of like consolidating right around here, right? So everyone's disappointed. You know, it's like we didn't get the rally we wanted, we didn't get the pump we wanted, all these things. But let's not be so short-sighted. Look at the chart over the last 90 days. And don't tell me that's not a bull run coming in, right? That's amazing. And this dip, mind you, this is all that OTC deal I was like buying and selling, you know, over the counter that's been happening. But that's going to run out. Once people run out of OTC, over the counter liquidity, what are they going to do? They're going to move into buying Bitcoin ETF, like spots, right? So that's what this tweet, which is so interesting, is what it says, right? They're like just pointing out that Bitcoin tripled from bottom to top, and there was no hype until the ETF approval was imminent. He says, don't underestimate what could happen from here. How quickly, as supply squeeze kicks in through ETF demand, and then the halving, which we know is in April. So this is a very, very good time to be here. If you have not already liked the button below and subscribed, I would encourage you to do this because I'm literally just getting started. Today I got my new, a better setup going with my OBS and all these things, setting up a proper studio. There's a lot in the works. Anyway, so that's a really, really good sign. This brings us to the Ethereum ETF news, which as you can see on my screen, it's officially a deal. It's officially happening. Ethereum ETFs have been filed, and on May 23rd, so right after the halving, there's going to be a final decision on VanEck's spot ETF, which at this point, as I heard it earlier, actually, I think it was through Kyle, through one of his calls, because I'm kind of always in the background listening to what's going on, is basically the hard work has been done. You know, figuring out how to basically wrap Bitcoin, make it into a security, so it's you know, tradable. That was the hard work. That's been done. So to borrow his language, which is a very, very good example, basically all the SEC has to do, sorry, not the SEC, but that's what they're going to do on the back end. But all these institutions, they basically just have to kind of like copy and replace Bitcoin with Ethereum. And pretty much all the other terms will stand and apply because that's what makes it a security, right? So really the hard work has been done, and now we're looking at May 23rd for a final decision on an Ethereum ETF. And this is everybody, I don't know if you can see my screen, everyone who has filed for one. So we have VanEck, ARK21, Hashdex, Grayscale, Invesco, iShares, and Fidelity. That's massive. And this is just an excerpt from Kyle's channel, which if you're not following, I would recommend you do. But I will say, and I love him, obviously I love him, his channel is quite advanced because he's a builder. He's been in the space since 2012. So when you're listening, there might be a lot that you don't understand, which is good because it means you're expanding and you're growing. But I would encourage you to come check out my channel for answering a lot of these questions, or join my Telegram community, which the link will be in the description. I'm building a team specifically, and I'm there to help answer your questions on basics, right? Because there's a lot of information online and on YouTube, but it's just kind of like haphazard and everywhere, and it's some of it's dated and it's complicated, right? So I'm creating the community in crypto where that's for you, for new people that want to learn. Don't feel bad, ask your questions. You actually help me know what else to create by asking your questions. So that's wonderful. But let's listen to this, and this is incredible. This validates what I'm just telling you.
Yeah, you know, markets are always forward-looking, and so we're looking to the future. And I recall a time where you and James said maybe 70%, something like that, probability in 2024. How's your prediction now? What do you think we get this over under, and what percentage?
Well, James and I haven't put our full forces behind investigating this, but my logic, and it's probably pretty solid, and from everything I've heard, if they approved Ether futures, they kind of have to approve spot or they get sued. They could get sued.
Huh.
And maybe Grayscale wants to convert their Ether trust.
Yes.
And is like, look, we don't want to, just talk to them. Hey, we don't want to sue you. You have to approve these, because the same rationale would apply if you let Bitcoin futures out, you got sued, and then you have to do spot Bitcoin. You let Ether futures out. Well, it just seems like ipso facto, they kind of have to do it at this point.
Obviously.
Any coin beyond that, definitely way more up for debate. But I would be optimistic, not like 95% at all or anything like that. Maybe a little over, half, maybe up to 70%, that they will approve this. Also, remember who was the first one to file and whose final deadline is in May. BlackRock.
Brother, BlackRock.
BlackRock
has filed for an Ethereum.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and if it was some random no-name issuer, I'd be a little more pessimistic. But again, they're not dumb. They got this done. They're looking at the next one. So I would probably hitch my opinion a little bit to BlackRock in this case. And they haven't filed any others. There was that fake XRP filing.
Yeah, so basically, and what he goes on to say is that, that he's pretty confident, 75% that this ETH ETF goes through. Since I'm such a great analyst, I'm going to put my odds at 92%, more than Eric Balkunas, right? And this is our man, Eric. If you guys don't know, we often quote his tweets.
Amazing. So let's pause there. That's enough for today's video. I hope you found value. I just really wanted to get you up to speed with what's going on in this crazy world of crypto. That's the future. I once heard a quote that said, the future's here. It's just not widely circulated. And thankfully for us, the future's here and now is becoming widely circulated. Very exciting times. I can't wait to share it with you. Please let me know what other topics you'd like me to cover. I'm more than happy to do this for you. Please join my Telegram chat. If you have questions, don't feel bad asking questions. That's how we learn. It's actually the people that get ahead that ask questions. And have a wonderful evening, wonderful day wherever you are, and ciao.